Peace, family. This is Derio checking in with y'all one time for the fun time. My brother is not here today. Jonathan, it is just me today. We are going to be doing something pretty different today. Not really different, but I want to institute this into everything we do is a movie review. So the movie that we're going to review today is easily top 5 all-time movies for me now. I've seen it 3 times in theaters so far, and it's absolutely amazing. Of course, y'all know if y'all haven't seen it, y'all sleeping. It is Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. It is an amazing, spectacular movie. It takes you through so many things. Now, the only gripe I have about this movie is that shit was long. Like that shit, like after the second act, I'm like, all right, cool, it's time to peace out. You feel me? They got a whole nother third act, but it was amazing, man. It was amazing, completely worth it. It was a spectacular movie, and Michelle Yeoh, who is, you know, a legend, she's just absolutely amazing. She's beautiful in it. She's stunning. She has her martial arts moments in it as well, but she also has a lot of depth, a lot of acting in it as well, a lot of movement, a lot of dynamic things for their character because they obviously travel like the multiverse, so she gets to play different versions of herself, which is mad dope. And then we have Huey Quran, I think that's how you say his name. Anyway, that's the guy, the man from Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. But he is also, I didn't notice until like yesterday, he's also the kid from Indiana Jones. And he's also from the Goonies. Hey, you guys. That was like a staple of my childhood, the Goonies. So, yeah, they did an amazing job in this movie. Have y'all, I don't know about y'all, but like as a creative, you feel me, as somebody who writes and stuff like that, even if you make music or like sports, anything like that, it's not comparing, right? Because we don't compare ourselves around here. But it was more so like when I saw that movie, it was like, oh man, I gotta step my writing up. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta step it up a little bit because this is next level. It has such a beautiful flow to it, but it also was really able to be humorous and funny, but not make it like a comedy. It was more like Kung Fu Hustle, which is another one of my favorite movies of all time, just because that one's a comedy though, but this is not like that. It has depth to it as well. Amazing storytelling, amazing scenes. My favorite scene is when they were both rocks. It was so simple because it's with the grandiose fighting scenes and shifting between dimensions and the fucking dildos coming out everywhere, which was wild. Or the butt plugs and the dildos. Yeah, like it was a lot. But people in the theater were losing it when those things happened, right? But the fact that you had dialogue between two rocks and it was just subtitles and the banter back and forth between two characters, that you have a sense of identity with these characters because they represent two characters within the story, but they also, it creates just a beautiful dynamic and dichotomy, and it's a really great pace, especially in the third act when things were kind of drawing on a little longer than a lot of people thought. I know a lot of people in the theaters were getting a little restless, but because it was so entertaining, that restlessness goes away as the movie progresses, man. It was absolutely beautiful. Oh, and I can't forget, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis, because she's Jamie Lee Curtis, so she was amazing as well. Man, the cinematography was amazing. The overall theme of it was amazing, because you always have to go back to the crux of what makes us human to tell a great story, right? It can't just be all fights and superpowers and Avengers and monsters and all that stuff. You lose people like that because what happens is you lose humanity, you lose the relatability. I think a lot of times, you know, going off on a tangent here, but I think that's what's happening a lot with Marvel movies now, you know, is they're starting to become a lot less relatable. So it's becoming way more fantasy. It's already a comic book franchise, right? But it's becoming a lot more fantasy based and a lot more commercialized, to where it's just about like how Transformers was. It's just about explosions and fights and shit like that, and CGI and effects, as opposed to telling a real story. But with that, I will say, I'll save the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness review for another episode, because I did really love the arc of Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, because that shit was fire. But actual Stephen Strange was it was a little wonky. But anyway, back to Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I'm curious to know what y'all's favorite part of the movie was, because Again, man, it's top 5 all time. I'm probably gonna go see it again, to be honest with you. Probably go see it dolo by myself. I'm trying to get my brother to watch it. I don't know if Jonathan has watched it yet, but we'll have some interesting things to talk about when he does, because again, it forces you to step up a lot. It forces me to step up a lot. You know, one of my favorite quotes by Kobe Bryant is to dance beautifully within the box that you're in, right? And that's a lot. That's writing in a nutshell, right? Because if anybody doesn't know, anybody who wants to be a storyteller or a screenwriter or anything like that, every single movie, every single series that you watch, everything that you watch, it goes by specific story beats, right? That's what they're called. Certain things happen at certain times very specifically because that's the way to tailor the story to actually have it go, right? If you don't follow those beats, things get real weird and it's very, very difficult. So dancing beautifully within the box that you're in, to me, in terms of being a screenwriter and things like that, is being able to get those beats, but having a person who's writes or who's in the film industry be able to get lost in the story and understand that, yeah, you're hitting these beats, but I don't even see it. I don't recognize it because I'm so invested into the story, into these characters and things like that. And this movie did that amazingly, perfectly, in spades, man. Again, the character of Wayman was my favorite. The one who plays Huey Quran. I'm just butchering that name. I know I am. Y'all let me know how to say the name. But him in this story was, oh my God, in this movie, he was so amazing, man. He was such a lovable character, such a like happy-go-lucky guy, and you feel bad for him throughout the entire movie, right? But even though his alternate personalities are like fighters and martial artists, the version that we get of him is just really kind of docile and stuff like that. Jamie Lee Curtis's character she had the right type of depth to her to make it to where, you know, she's able to kind of flex as an actress. But then she also had a very whimsical side of herself, so where she kind of got to let loose the hot dog fingers and shit, like things like to make you uncomfortable. Even it hits so many different beats to where it's like you're always constantly engaged because you're uncomfortable, you're laughing, you're enthralled in the fight choreography, you are invested in this love story between a husband and wife whose marriage is on the rocks. You're invested in this story between a daughter and a mother whose relationship is on the rocks, right? Because we all go through those type of things, but then it hits you with discomfort to make sure that you're still invested. It hits you with action to make sure that you're still invested. It hits you with cringe to make sure you're still invested, right? It hits you with funny things and horror, even certain elements, to make sure you're still invested. And it's not afraid to be silly. So that movie is absolutely amazing. I feel like an old person because I have to put my glasses back on to be able to see.
But I cannot see. I'm legally blind.
And the movie is written by again, Dan Quinn and Dan Shiner, I believe. They also wrote a really, really cool movie. They're just such a unique team of writers that it makes me want to be like, yo, all right, like let's go, let's get into the ring writing and let's see what unique stories we can come up with, because they came up with such amazing stories. So the movie is called Swiss Army Man, excuse me, and it has Daniel Radcliffe in it. It's so unique and like really weird. They have a really interesting way, I'm seeing, with their writing style. It's making you fall in love with characters that they write. So you're completely invested in the character story because you fall in love with them, and then they get really, really whimsical, super crazy, a little uncomfortable in some ways, but it just creates and promotes beautiful, like absolutely beautiful, masterful writing. So if you guys haven't seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, please go check it out, because that movie is amazing. A24, that's the production company. They never miss, man. They just make amazing films, right? Shout out to A24, anybody in that camp. But then also Swiss Army Man is it's such a unique story. It's so amazing. If you guys haven't seen it, go look at the trailer. It's it, man. But yeah, that's the first movie review of the Black Film Project podcast. I also want to review black films, trailers, things like that. So any creatives and artists, melanated, of color, it doesn't have to be black, of course, but anybody who has a story that they want to tell, Send me the trailers, man. Send me the scripts. Send me the anything, right? Send me the movies. That way I can review them, see what we think. So that way we can have more people get involved with it, get in touch with it, and we can have a conversation. So without further ado, y'all, peace out. I'm about to go get me some food, and I'm out. I'll catch y'all later.